Hey everyone, this is Patrick and Amanda from the San Diego Lifestyle. We're here today with another segment of Baby Boomers versus Millennials. Today our topic is going to be the frequency and usage of social media, which is definitely a topic that is, I think, going to be a little more controversial than our last topic. I mean, one of my bigger issues with our business operations is the amount of time that Amanda spends on social media. And I do think that social media is critical to our business. We do have an online business. You know, we are doing digital marketing, and we are promoting, our online magazine. It's also critically important to my other business, my consulting business, Quest Fusion. And I have been very active on Twitter around, my consulting business. And Amanda also uses her social media pretty substantially, pretty significantly in her real estate business as well. But my complaint isn't really about the usage of social media. It's the frequency of use and number of social media and things like that. So as a millennial, Amanda, what's your perspective on kind of, first off, how many hours a day do you think you're actually on social media? And this could be while you're multitasking, having dinner, having lunch, having a conversation with somebody. What do you think?
Me personally, probably 4 hours. I would say millennials, 4 to 6 hours. I think that's pretty average for anyone my age. But I think that we don't even really see it as social media. That's just our life on the internet. That's just our life, but it's just, we're reaching out to people online, we're connecting with people on Facebook and Twitter, so I think it just comes natural to just kind of be on there also, as well as, getting all the ads, scrolling past all the ads and receiving inquiries from different businesses and, doing business outreach and things like that. But we also just kind of live our lives online also. We don't have the face-to-face interaction as much as baby boomers, I don't think.
Right, but a lot of it, just based on our conversations and interactions, is stuff that's completely unrelated to business. So trying to make it out that social media is because of business productivity is pretty ludicrous, actually.
Well, unless you're actually doing the things that generate more business. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can be liking and retweeting if you do have lists and things like that. Like, you've done a really good job of organizing the San Diego Lifestyle Twitter so that we do have restaurants and bars, and we can go in and just look at the things that are relevant to us and where we're going with networking and building our brands and getting guest bloggers. And we can do a lot more just work when we do things like that. But as far as just scrolling past just to see if you like some things, I don't know if you can really call that business.
Right. So I mean, I'm guilty of it as well, to a far lesser extent. I'll see something on Facebook that's funny. Like, I had one the other day that a little cat was like on the back of a motorcycle riding with his owner, or
sure,
a couple of dogs surfing with their owner. And I'll share that with my friends, and they enjoy that.
Yeah.
But it seems like you spend, and this is millennials in general, and Gen Z is even more so. I mean, if I look at, our teenage kids, they are on social media all the time. I mean, that's basically how they communicate, is through Snapchat and through those types of vehicles. I have no idea even what's going on with them. So that's a whole other topic. But just in terms of millennials, how, like,
well, I think it's
so you have a lot of
people.
You have a lot of people that are in your Snap. I don't Snapchat. So, and I know that there are people over 50 that do Snapchat. In fact, a famous venture capitalist in LA, what's his name again? The guy, the big blogger. We went to his event at San Diego Venture Group. Mark Sister's on social media and on Snapchat. Gary Vaynerchuk is on Snapchat. I'm not sure he's over 50. I think that he is, but it's just a different vehicle, and I don't really see how it would be relevant for my business unless I maybe use it how Sister does, which he gives presentations and stuff like that.
So do you not think personally you should even be on any social media, or if you didn't have a business that you could put onto social media? Because I remember meeting you back a long time ago, and I asked you, do you have a Twitter? Does your company have a Twitter? And you were like, yeah, but we don't really like use it. And it didn't even, I didn't even understand. Like, what do you mean? How do you not function without a Twitter? I don't know.
Yeah, so at Entropic,
so do you think personally you wouldn't even need to spend 0 time on social media?
Well, at Entropic, we had Twitter for the corporation. I was not personally on Twitter. It was primarily used as a way to communicate with our press contacts, to a lesser extent investor contacts, but basically we have a Twitter feed where we would put out our press releases and things like that.
Okay.
And in fact, that's a big way that I use it. Now that I'm on Twitter, and I've been on for, I guess, a couple of years now, I use it as pretty much my primary vehicle for getting news and information about pretty much everything other than Google search. I do use Google search to kind of, if I have something specifically that I'm looking for.
The news is critical. You have to be on. You have to be on Twitter at least 1 hour
But Twitter, I think, is one of the most amazing tools. And I don't know if you saw today, sidebar, but the Twitter, I guess, had bad earnings and their stock has gone down again. So Twitter might be a buying opportunity now. I'm going to talk to my broker about it. But I think Twitter is an amazing company. I think it's an amazing tool. I think it's totally different than Instagram. I think it's totally different than Facebook. I think that it's extremely valuable tool. And somehow either Twitter themselves or they're going to get bought and something's going to happen there. So getting back to your original question, though, do you think you should be on social media? I think so. I mean, I've been on Facebook for a long time. I've been on LinkedIn for a long time. I've been on Twitter for 2 years, and I've been on Instagram maybe a year and a half. And Google Plus, because you just kind of have to be on it. I don't really use it except to share information. But I think because Google's kind of owns everything, it's important to be on Google Plus. That's kind of my view. But if I look at what I use and how frequently I use it, I'm primarily, for my business, a LinkedIn and Twitter person for my consulting business. Whereas on the San Diego Lifestyle, I think we focused or made a decision to focus on Instagram
and Twitter
and Facebook to some extent. I mean, you have to be on Facebook because...
Well, we're very personal on Facebook too, and we promote a lot of our stories on there.
Well, and Facebook has better demographic information than anybody else on the planet, so if you're ever going to run an ad, Facebook is the place to go. You can run ads on LinkedIn and you can run ads on Twitter, but Facebook really does have the best targeted demographic information in the planet. So, but getting back to, do I think social media is important? I think absolutely. Am I on social media a certain percentage of the day? For sure. I would say, when I get up in the morning, I try to check out Twitter, kind of see what's going on. I check it a couple of times throughout the day. I mean, I've got the mobile versions of these apps now, so I'll check on Instagram or Facebook or whatever if I have a little bit of downtime, and just kind of check out what's going on. But I'm not doing a major active push on those. And my thing is more about productive time on social media versus kind of unproductive time. But I think
you can tell just by like your wordage that I don't know, millennials I feel like just have this whole different mindset. We're not like, we're gonna go on Twitter to catch up and make sure we get through our scrolling of our lists and we retweet one business thing. We're just like, hey, I have a random thought in my head. I need to make sure this goes on Twitter so that it's like online and people can feel the same way I do. Like, this coffee cup, it's driving me crazy that he doesn't have a coaster under it. And then you tweet it, and then other people are like, all my people that I work with never use coasters. And then everybody retweets it, and they're like, hashtag coaster. And it's just a conversation. It's just how you think and how you do it. And the more times that you can get on and make that opportunity, even if you're the only one writing a comment, it just sparks so much different things that go on that I feel like it's almost essential to be on as much as you can, just showcasing yourself and your personality.
Yeah.
Because in the end, people look back over this timeline of posts and then they see your personality and then they get to know you. Then they reach out to you in real life and then you do a cross promotion and you do something together and you grow your following. And it's really cool to see how it all comes together. And as a millennial, it's like that can really grow into something huge. So.
Well, I do believe that
I think you should be on social media for 6 hours a day.
So basically, and there have been studies about this in terms of the amount of television people watch in the United States, and it's like 6 to 8 hours a day. Now these days they've got the TV on in the background. They're doing other stuff, but I mean that's a lot of TV. I don't watch that much TV, but that's on average. And I've been in the kind of media, TV, technology business for a long time, over 20 years, and that's people are always shocked that work in technology to understand they're on. People are watching their TV like 8 hours a day. And it's crazy. And between that and gaming and now social media, and it's just this kind of bombardment of technology.
And now when you watch TV, it's like, oh, this is what, LeBron James tweeted last night after the thing. And this is what this person wrote on their Facebook. And this is the debate that went on online. Like on every single channel almost, you see that. And it's follow us on this social media and check out our website. So I think it's
do you think, I think a lot of people that are unproductive, not necessarily successful in business, those are the people that spend 8 hours a day watching TV, 8 hours or more. And is that kind of similar? You have a similar view for millennials? How much is too much? If you're on social media like 6, 8, 10 hours a day, is that like a complete waste of time and you're just vegging out at that point?
It's tough to say.
Or versus, are you more productive? Or you don't even think about it that way?
No, it's just like I think the more you can be on it, the better to a certain extent, up to about 6 hours. After 6 hours, I think if you spread it, the best thing ever to do would be go on for 20 to 30 minutes, 12 to whatever the math is on that, 12 times a day. Go on, for a half hour and just retweet and think about something, take in the world around you and do that for that little increments. Once you get past that, I mean, that's a lot of time that you're doing that while you're awake. So that's pretty much the max. I don't think you should be on every second tweeting about every little thing. That's when the kind of whole taking pictures of your food craze happened, and everyone thought no matter where I go, I'll just take a picture of my food and take a picture of this and take a picture of that and everybody will like it. But that's not really how it goes. It's just the more you can tie in, and especially with business, the more you can tie into your own business. Sure, if you're a half hour every day thinking, what creative thing right now do I have with me that I can put my brand around and say San Diego lifestyle, rest and relax with that coffee picture, and post it online and put a link to one of our stories about our leisure, anything, beaches or anything like that. It's like that is relevant, and it does take that 30 minutes to do, but then you have that another little spark in the world, and hashtag coffee and hashtag Monday morning or motivation or whatever, and then you can connect with a whole another 100 people in that time. Once you go over that, yeah, but most people aren't doing these types of things for that 30 minutes. They're just kind of scrolling through and liking, and they don't have a base to come back to. I think at social media marketing world, that was a huge thing that we both took away from, is that at the end of the day, if you don't have your own website and your own thing that you're building, apart from all this stuff that you're scrolling through and liking, it's just going to be scrolling through and liking and trying to get follows and stuff like that. There's never going to be, hey, this is what I'm doing no matter what else is going on or how much I'm telling you about it. I'm still doing this over here. So
well, I mean, the other part of that, I mean, the concept was don't build your house on rented land, was more about the social media companies, whether it be Facebook or Twitter or whatever. They're constantly changing the rules. So if you build your house on rented land, there's a huge problem with that. So the fact that, and we were kind of validated in that we've built our blog sites on our own websites. Now we do use social media as a vehicle to promote them, and even in my case, I use Medium, which is a blog site, and Tumblr to a lesser extent to promote my original blog stories that are on Quest Fusion. But I have my own website, and the San Diego Lifestyle, exactly. We have our own website. And I think that anybody that is building a company that has content marketing, that has blogging, this is an important thing to keep in mind if that's your primary business.
So at the end of the day, how much time do you think as a baby boomer that anyone should be on social media?
I think you have to average it out, but I would say if you took a week, probably no more. A day.
Let's say just in a day.
Well, but I think that your time varies day to day. So that's the whole thing. So to me, you have to average it out over a week. So I would say that the maximum amount of time that somebody should spend on social media if they want to be a highly productive, highly successful individual would be 2 hours a day on average.
42 hours.
2 hours, and probably 90 minutes, 2 hours a day on average. That's all of it. That's, if you're answering questions on Quora, if you're doing, reviewing stuff on Medium, if you're doing stuff on Twitter, but that, Now, keep in mind that I'm using Twitter now instead of reading the newspaper, for the most part.
But that's that's all considered in that 90 minutes still?
Yeah, I think 2 hours. 2 hours a day on average is about right.
So you say 2 hours. I say 6 hours.
Now there, maybe if you like, okay, I'm using downtime, like unproductive time where I'm like, whatever, something where I'm not going to be able to be productive doing anything else. I'll do kind of a quick check. But if I do those quick checks throughout the day, let's say that adds up to another 5 minutes every couple hours, maybe that ends up being like another 30, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
But like focus time of doing things, maybe 2.5, maybe 2.5.
We got the baby boomer to 2.5. We need to
now,
get him up to 3.
I don't think that I'm the traditional baby boomer though, because when I was in Entropic, I would say the amount of time that I would spend on social media would be far less.
Yeah, an hour maybe.
Yeah, but there were other people. So we really want to hear from you too. Like, how much time do you spend on social media?
Which category are you in, and how much time do you think?
And what social media platforms do you like the best, and why? And let us know if you're a millennial or a baby boomer or a Gen Xer. Gen Xers, we want your opinions too. But I think that this is an interesting debate. I think it'll be ongoing.
Definitely.
I think the most important thing in my mind, and this is in business and life and in everything, is you have to set goals. And you have to see what you're doing every day that's in alignment with those goals or not alignment with those goals. And I'm not saying never do anything that's recreational, never do anything that, isn't just like vegging out. I do it, Amanda does it, we all do it. But if that's kind of your life, is vegging out all the time, I don't think you're going to have a huge amount of success in your life, in your career, and otherwise. So this is Patrick and Amanda from the San Diego Lifestyle. Would love to hear from you. And this is our latest edition of Baby Boomers versus Millennials.